All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, kind of strange new ideas out there, the DAO. That's short for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And trust me, it's a concept that's shaking the very foundations of how we think about getting things done together. So, just to kick things off, imagine this for a second. What if a company could just run itself? Seriously. No CEO making all the calls, no HR department, no physical headquarters. Just a group of people spread all over the world, united by a mission and a shared bank account that no single person can control. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, it's happening right now. For centuries, this is what organizations have looked like. This pyramid on the left, it's all top-down. Decisions are slow, the structure is fragile, and one bad leader can bring the whole thing tumbling down. DAOs, they flip that script entirely. They're built like a network, fast, resilient, and powered by the entire crowd, not just one person at the top. And let's be real, that old pyramid model is really starting to crack under the pressure. I mean, in a world that moves at the speed of light, that top-down industrial age hierarchy, it's become a massive bottleneck. So what is a DAO, really? At its absolute core, it's an organization that runs on code. Its rules aren't tucked away in some employee handbook nobody reads. Nope, they are literally baked into a transparent computer program, what we call a smart contract, that lives on a blockchain. And what that means is the rules are public for everyone to see, and they can't be changed on a whim by some manager having a bad day. And this quote just nails the whole philosophical shift. The old way of thinking was, let's just hope our leaders choose not to be evil. The new way, the DAO way, is to build systems where being evil just isn't even an option. It's about moving our trust away from fallible people and putting it into impartial code. And that brings us right to the operational heart of a DAO. We're talking about a fundamental swap here, replacing that messy, unreliable human trust with something much more predictable: cold, hard, algorithmic trust. Okay, so how does this whole engine actually run without a driver? Well, you can really boil it down to three core pieces. First, you've got the code. This is the law of the land, the automated rules of the road. Second, you have governance. That's how the community makes decisions together. And third, the treasury, the shared war chest that funds the entire mission. This idea that code is law is a total game changer. Think about a regular contract. You need lawyers, you need courts, you need to trust that the other party will hold up their end. It's slow, it's expensive. A smart contract, it's its own enforcement mechanism. If the conditions are met, boom, it executes. No questions asked. It's the judge, jury, and executioner all rolled into one. But of course, that's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? The good news is the code can't be bribed or distracted. It does exactly what it's told 24/7. The scary part? If there's a bug in that code, it's going to execute that bug with the exact same ruthless efficiency. That's why modern DAOs are so obsessed with security. They put their code through intense audits and formal verification to make absolutely sure it's bulletproof before a single penny is put on the line. All right, let's pop the hood and go a little deeper into that engine. How does an organization with no leaders actually make important decisions and manage what can be, billions of dollars? So how does the crowd actually decide? Well, this is where things get really interesting. It's like a giant live experiment in digital democracy. The most basic model is simple: one token, one vote. It's direct, but it can mean the wealthiest members have all the say. So to fight that, you've got newer ideas like quadratic voting, which focuses more on how many people support an idea, not just how many tokens they have. And then there's delegation, where you can basically loan your vote to an expert you trust. Each one has its own pros and cons. And all this voting, all this decision-making, where does it lead? It all points to the treasury, the DAO's communal war chest. And this isn't some bank account a CFO has the password to. It's a pool of money controlled directly by the community through their votes. And this is a great look at how the smart ones protect that war chest. See, a savvy DAO knows its own token can be a roller coaster, so they don't bet the farm on it. They diversify. They hold assets like stablecoins that are pegged to the dollar, they hold Bitcoin, and they're even starting to hold tokenized real-world assets. It's all about making sure they have enough dry powder to keep the lights on, no matter what the market's doing. And when you're dealing with a community-owned treasury, security and transparency are everything. The funds are usually held in what's called a multi-signature wallet, which means you need multiple people to sign off on any transaction. No single person can just run off with the money. And because it's on a blockchain, every single transaction is public. And they're pioneering really cool ideas like streaming payments, where contributors get paid in real time as they complete work. It's just a perfect alignment of incentives. So let's zoom out for a second. What does all of this really add up to? Because this is bigger than just a new way to run a project. We could be looking at a total evolution in what it means to be sovereign, moving from these murky legal gray zones to what might one day be digital nations. Think about it. In the past, sovereignty was all about land. You were a nation because you had physical territory. Right now, DAOs are kind of camping out in this legal gray zone, often using legal wrappers from friendly places like Wyoming or Panama to get some basic protections. But the future? That's where it gets really wild. The vision is something called a network state, a digital-first community with a shared treasury and a real economy that might one day have enough power to be recognized as a sovereign entity itself. So if there is one big idea you walk away with today, let it be this. The very architecture of human coordination is changing right before our eyes. We're moving away from those rigid, fragile pyramids of the past and into these fluid, resilient, anti-fragile networks that are powered not by a handful of bosses, but by code and the collective ownership of their members. And that kind of leaves us with one last crazy thought to chew on. In a future of these network states and digital sovereignty, is it really that far-fetched to think that your identity, your citizenship, might one day be tied not to the piece of dirt where you were born, but to the digital communities you help build online? In other words, will your next passport be your crypto wallet?